Hey guys, it's Baconton, back at it again, and Halloween is fast approaching, so we're going to be pivoting away from the Neopets cookbook. I know it is still deep in my heart, I'm still cooking from it, but we are switching it up, and today we'll be cooking from the Disney Villains cookbook. Now this is a gift from me, from my wonderful husband, and he wants me to start making some of the things in this book because Halloween, Disney villains, it feels like it goes a bit better together than Neopets. Besides, who doesn't love a good Disney villain? And speaking of good Disney villains, today we are going to be starting with probably my favorite Disney movie ever in existence, Tangled. Now, I'm not going to be hearing anyone out. Tangled is by far the best Disney princess movie ever made. There is no more debate. Sorry, already closed. Thank you, goodbye. And Mother Gothel is definitely one of the best Disney villains in my opinion. So what better way to start than by making her hazelnut soup? The book says Mother Gothel tried her best to keep Rapunzel happy while locked away in a tower. I brought back parsnips, Mother Gothel said to the imprisoned princess in the tower window. I'm going to make hazelnut soup for dinner. Surprise! That soup may not have been enough to keep Rapunzel in her tower, but this soup is a delicious surprise. It is also spectacularly simple from the looks of it. We've got ourselves all the ingredients right here in front of us with the exception of a couple of spices like salt and pepper. So let's go over them. For this recipe you will need 1 acorn squash, 2 Granny Smith apples, 1 pound of parsnips, 2 shallots, 3 cups of vegetable stock, a bunch of fresh thyme. This is thyme I grew myself in my windowsill, so I am better than you. And 3/4 cup of hazelnuts. First things first, we gotta split our acorn squash in half, scoop the seeds out, brush it with some oil, and roast it. So, I'm gonna start with my, okay, this is very tough. All right, let me just try it this way. Ready? Don't try this at home. 1, 2, oh! Well, now I got a flat surface, even better. Again, I learned knife skills, I disregard knife skills because I am taking my life in my own hands. Alrighty. And why am I doing it at an angle? There we go. Ready? Cut! Ooh, close. Okay, we got something now. And I'll do it like, just absolutely eviscerating the squash. Good thing we don't actually have to worry about like the squash, how it looks in the soup, because it's all gonna get blended. I'm gonna scoop the seeds out. I'm gonna scoop the seeds out with a sharp spoon. Just go around. This just feels like it's appropriate for this season. This feels like a very fall dish. Oh, just getting things everywhere. Double check. And we've got a nicely cleaned out acorn squash. There. Now, I'm supposed to drizzle the cut sides with some olive oil. It says to use about 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil in total. I've placed the acorn squash cut side down on this piece of baking paper on this sheet, and it's gonna go in the oven to roast at 375 for around 40 minutes or until it's nice and tender. Now while we wait on our acorn squash to cook, it's time to chop up the rest of our vegetables. We're going to core and chop our apple, chop up our parsnips, and thinly slice our shallots. It doesn't mention that we're going to be peeling these apples, which is good. 1, because who has the time, but 2, did you know that 1/3 of the nutrition in an apple, or in most fruit, is found in its skin? And you're wasting a lot of stuff if you just peel your apples. Take my knife, I'm gonna slice the core out. I probably should be using a smaller knife for this, but that's okay. Again, my fingers, my choice. Do you hear how crisp those sound? sounds awful. I was given an apple in my lunch. Well, not really an apple. My mother did this thing where she would chop up apples into slices and then cover them in cinnamon and put those in a bag or like a little Snapware for your lunch. And I had that every day for like a good 2 years. And now I hate apples. I mean, like I'll eat them in things, but just eating an apple, no thank you. An apple on its own, no. Oven's preheated. I just can't do it anymore. I've eaten enough apples for a while. Making a mess all over my kitchen. I should get a prep bowl. Gonna kind of roughly chop my apples. I'm just dropping stuff everywhere today. Ugh. I'm not gonna lie. Today's been kind of a day. I'm excited to be doing this, but it's been kind of a rough one today. So if I seem a bit out of sorts, yeah, I am. But that's okay. Cooking is a way to relieve your stress, or at least to me it is. Some people use different things to control their stress and their emotions, but cooking, especially baking, has always been a way to de-stress. That's actually how I got into doing Lord Bakington in the first place. I was not feeling the greatest. I was alone. I had just moved out of my parents' house. I had to come back from Michigan. I tried to take on the world and moved out of my parents' house in college on my own. Felt really alone, but I really liked cooking. And I thought, well, I could share that with people. And that's kind of where it started. Parsnips kind of just look like white carrots, like really weedy looking white carrots. But to me, they're much nicer. People like carrot cake. I make a parsnip cake, and it is phenomenal, if I do say so myself. Even Derek, who doesn't like most vegetables, especially cooked vegetables, cooked vegetables, admitted he liked my parsnip cake. Will that probably be the only thing I will ever be able to get him to eat with parsnips in it? Yes, but it doesn't matter because I made my point. So what I'm doing is kind of just splitting these parsnips in half. And these are a little bit thicker, so I'm gonna go again. They're really tough though. They're like real dense vegetables. Into little chunks, line them up, and just kind of go to town. I should probably get a bigger bowl. All right, well, we've graduated up to a big bowl. And since I will likely be the only person eating this soup, see my earlier comments for reason why, I'm going to be doing a half batch of soup today. That's why you're only seeing me cut some of the parsnips, some of the shallot, one apple. But the ingredients listed are the ingredients for the full batch of soup as dictated by the recipe. I truly believe Tangled is one of the best things Disney has ever made. I watched that movie. This is like, might be a little bit weird to admit, but I watched that movie every day one summer. Just like, I had it on, even if it was just in the background, every day for a full summer. I really like just Rapunzel as a character. I thought Flynn Rider was great. I thought Mother Gothel was great. I loved the look of the world and just how fun it was. It didn't have tons of, like, it didn't try to be an epic. It didn't try to be something. This was before Frozen, I believe. Yeah, it was before Frozen. And people are always like, oh, Anna is the first like quirky Disney princess when, I mean, have you seen Rapunzel? I've got my shallot. Just gonna peel the papery skin off. Shallots are like a nicer onion, in my opinion. I don't find shallots nearly as harsh or unpleasant as onions are. But no matter what the onion, the skin never wants to come off easily. Like the first couple layers will be fine, but then that last layer that's right up against the fleshy part is just never wants to come off. All right, just top and tail. No, I'm not gonna top and tail. I'm just gonna top off the papery bits. And I'm going to, per the directions, slice these. I should probably switch to a different knife. Just thinly slicing these shallots. I put these in this little bowl. And this is what I mean by them being a mild onion. No tears, no irritation, everything is just fine. And they even smell quite pleasant. Pleasant for an onion. Once our acorn squash is roasted, we can begin building our soup. Alrighty, our acorn squash has been cooking and roasting away in the oven. It smells very good. This just feels like a perfect fall recipe, so I'm super into this. Now what we're going to do is scoop the flesh out from the skin and place it in a little dish for now until we get started on making the actual soup. And look how soft that is. It's very, very hot still. Alrighty, at long last we are finally ready to make some soup. This has taken a little bit of pre-prep, but you know what? All labors of love do. And Mother Gothel knows a lot about labors of love. We've got our cooked acorn squash, our apples and parsnips, our hazelnuts, our thyme, sliced shallots, and our stock. So let's head over to the stove and get this all on the stove. In a soup pot over a medium heat, add in some olive oil, 1.5 tablespoons to be specific. And then cook your shallots gently. Once the shallots have softened, add in your apples and parsnips, and continue to cook. Add in my hazelnuts. My sprigs of thyme. And our stock. Along with a little salt. Some pepper. Cook. Once your soup is cooked, carefully blend it with your immersion blender. And there we have it, some beautiful hazelnut soup. The book says to garnish with a thinly sliced piece of apple, the reserved hazelnuts, and some fresh thyme. So I did just that. This looks spectacular. Although mine was noticeably more dark than the book soup. The book soup is very pale and almost yellowy color and very smooth look. Mine's quite thick and quite dark. But honestly, that makes it feel just that little bit more rustic, in my opinion. After all, this soup was cooked in a tower in the woods, so I doubt it would look like something you would see in a perfect Michelin star restaurant, in my opinion. But that's not important. The important thing is it smells amazing. I gotta say, the hazelnuts, the fresh thyme, the parsnips, the acorn squash, all of it came together. It feels very fall right now. I feel like if I was gonna make this recipe, I would add like a little pinch of nutmeg or something to this. Something. However, it is time to taste the soup. Get some of that there. See how much thicker my soup is than this? I have the recipe. That shouldn't, however, make it thicker. I did my math. Very smooth. I definitely taste the parsnip. And in the back of your throat, you definitely get some hazelnut goodness. It has almost like a peanutty, that kind of like nutty richness to it, which is nice because the soup definitely needs something with a bit more body to it than some parsnips and pumpkin. It's acorn squash, but a squash. It adds nice richness and nice fat to it. And honestly, I think because I use a few too many hazelnuts in the soup, that might be why it's a bit darker than the book soup. But definitely a very tasty soup. It's got a nice tang to it as well. I appreciate that. Very tasty. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe down below. If you enjoyed what you're watching, let me know in the comment section. What did you think of the recipe? What do you think of this book? And it's fall, it's officially October. So, what is your favorite season? For me, fall is 100% going to be the answer because I just love yellow leaves, I love pumpkins, I just love the coolness. Especially, I've lived in typically very warm areas of the world. Central California, Southern California, Nevada. So fall to me is very special because it means it's finally cool enough to not die when I go outside anymore. All right, you guys, I'll see you when I see you next time. Peace.